Good evening. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening and welcome to our world. And we call this our Spring Instrumental Expo, different than a concert, because tonight you're not only going to have the opportunity to hear a traditional concert, you're invited into our world. And our world, a lot of people think concerts are the real end product and the most important part of what we do. Well, they're certainly very important, but what you're going to get a chance to see tonight is everything that goes on every day. Whether it's teaching or the students interacting or some of the students writing, you get to see the product of all that tonight. So welcome to our world, and we hope for the next however long you'll stay with us and you'll see some of the joy, some of the excitement, some of the thrill that we get out of doing this. If you'd like to see it again, videos will be available tonight through our video club for $5. You can see a representative at the intermission, which will be short, or at the end of the concert. And we thank you for coming. We'd like to get started right away with our first group. Now, our first group is entitled Roots. And I'm going to bring the directors of this group, Jeff Paone and Jared Penn, out to tell you a little bit about it themselves. But the thing that I will tell you most of all is that I had nothing whatsoever to do with it. And I say that proudly, not shirking. But these students wrote this, directed this, rehearsed it all themselves. And if you've seen Blast, you will recognize this to be a program just like that. I'd like to introduce Jeff Paone, Jared Penn.
Good evening. Tonight, the Wayne Hills Winter Brass and Percussion will perform the show entitled Roots. Everyone that's in the show tonight, very dedicated people. They put in a lot of time in practice. We usually have 1 or 2 practices a week. We even practice in the school parking lot. So, like Ms. Paterno said, it's just like Blast, but a little bit different. Talk more about the show, though. Me and Jeff's going to talk about it.
Mr. P pretty much stole my speech, but just want to add that our show is based on Nintendo. It's mostly Super Mario Brothers and Tetris. 3 songs are Start, Pause, and Game Over. And everything you see here is what they put in themselves. They did it on their own time. We came here and practiced, so I hope you enjoyed the show. And remember, we're not unplugged.
We're plugged in.
I'm not sure whether many other teachers would get the same joy out of being completely useless as I do. Uh, but if you look at that, if you wonder why I enjoy my job so much and why we're so proud of what the students do here, it's that from the moves, the drill that you saw, the music, both the drum parts and the horn parts, and everything they put together, they came up with the ideas, and they came to me and they said, can we do this? And I was pretty happy to say they could. So it's one of the nicest things that we have here is student interest. You don't need to go to Broadway. You can come right here, and you'll see things like Blast right here. Next, we'd like to move on to our saxophone ensemble. We have a lot of small ensembles at our school which meet just regularly after school. And again, for myself or for, in this case, Mrs. Ampella, who was our student teacher in the fall and continues to stay involved with our program, although unpaid, he still stays involved in our program. It's a chance for us to share, again, a little bit of our world. For a half hour or for 45 minutes after school, we get a chance to work with the students on something we really like. And in this case, we'd like to present the Wayne Hills High School Saxophone Ensemble, and they're presenting a piece entitled Gollywog's Cakewalk, our saxophone ensemble, under the direction of Mr. Zampella. Our saxophone ensemble. Mr. Zampella, please come out and take a bow. Join your students. Thank you, guys. So in our world so far, you've visited two different places. You've seen a drum corps style show, stage show. Pretty good for your price of admission if you think about it. Well, that depends on what you think of your tax dollars. But a drum corps style stage show, a vaudeville in a saxophone quartet. Now we'd like to take you to the stage of Carnegie Hall and present Mr. Will Sue. Will is a trombonist with our band, a freshman, believe it or not, after hearing him play, and also a very accomplished pianist. And he would like to present tonight, I just want to make sure I get the title right, Etude Opus 10, number 12. It's entitled The Revolutionary Etude in C minor by Frédéric Chopin. Mr. Sue. I would like to follow that by playing the second revolutionary etude, except that I can't. So we'll move right on. We take you now from Carnegie Hall. We take you to a garden. And in that garden, perhaps you're sitting there in the late 1700s, early 1800s, and you're having tea with your friends. And back then, if you remember, they don't have radios. There weren't recordings. So what they had was friends who would come and play for you and provide music for you. And we'd like to present our flute ensemble under the direction of Mr. Dennis Puzak, who's another one of the army of teachers we have here that, as I said, don't necessarily get paid for doing this, but like sharing our world with the students. And they would like to present to you Symphony Number 1 by Boyce, our flute ensemble. we just have the lights on so they can go out without tripping? Thank you very much. Again, it's wonderful. If you think how many things can we pack into a half hour, we'll think about the different places we've been. It's wonderful the amount of student interest we have, the amount of different talents. If you keep your eyes peeled very, very sharply, you're going to see different instruments in people's hands. Where you saw Will at the piano, you'll see him with a trombone. Sometimes Stephanie, you'll see with a flute, and you'll see her with a saxophone in jazz band. So we have a lot of different talent going on, and we're very, very proud of that. We also like to thank you, of course, for coming. Thank our administrators, present and past, for coming. I know he doesn't necessarily want it mentioned, but it was very nice to see Mr. Flower here again tonight. Mr. Flower, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And I did see, and I thank you again to a lot of our administration who's mentioned on the back, who we also did see here tonight. Now, we have a lot, you've seen a lot of our small groups, or you've seen some of the big groups too. And if you read in your program, why 3 bands? Why do we split our group up into 3 bands? Well, the reason, as I say there, is because we can. We have enough students to do it, we have enough ability to do it, and we're very proud of that. And the first group, if you give us just a second, we're pretty well set for them, that we'd like to present as our concert band, and an explanation of what a concert band is and how it differs from the other 2 large ensembles you'll see tonight is in your program. And you can take a look at that either at the break or as we're getting set up on stage. But if you give us just 1 second, we'd like to present our concert band, which is under the direction of Mr. Robert Vogel. Thank you. And again, please, we need the pit lights. Thank you. Again, as we're getting set, a quick commercial for if you'd like a video of tonight's performance, it is available. I was first in line today. I got mine before, which was a little bit of director privilege. But if you'd like yours, it was available either at intermission or right after we're done.
Thank you very much. That was Bravada Esprit. Our next tune is going to be Washington Post by J.P. Souza. Our last tune we'll be playing for you tonight is Carnival de Brazil.
from the halls of a military band concert or a concert hall like this, I don't know where the next most logical place to take you is, so I'll assume that that most logical place is a junkyard. It's the only place we haven't been tonight yet, and one of the places that we'd like to go now, and one of the reasons we like this solo is this was actually written as part of our Music in Our Schools Month celebration. If you're not aware, March is Music in Our Schools Month. And accordingly, we try to do some things here to show other people what we do as musicians. Not only have concerts or play out on a football field or at the robotics thing today, whatever we're doing, but to show them how music can relate to them. So a couple of our students, the names are in the program, developed an idea on how to connect with our auto shop. The auto shop teacher said, okay, what can you do in music that has anything to do with us? So I gave it to these students, and this is again written by students. And they'd like to present to you what's called Junkyard Jam. Gentlemen, the junkyard is yours. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I bet you never knew that much sound can come out of the drum. Well, again, we're proud of our students who want to take on projects like writing those kind of programs, and it's one of the parts, again, of my job that I find extremely exciting. If you notice, I mentioned a lot of adults that come in, either music teachers in the town or people from outside the town who just have an interest in our program. And one of the reasons they have an interest in our program is our students. And you've seen it tonight, and if you hear when we go on our band trip, I always tell them to be careful of the very normal people that we run into. And they always ask why. We're not normal, And if you've ever seen a group of them, that pretty much answers your question. But from my point of view specifically, these aren't normal people. I don't know how many normal people could move even the way. If you see the way our concert works tonight, we're very proud of just the logistical way it moves. To pay you back as an audience to come, we know we have to move things quickly, and hopefully things are done and things follow each other very well. And that's a lot to do with our students and the way they understand things. And that's a little bit of our world too. Our world is musical, but it's a show, and it's working together, and it's moving things and learning how to solve problems and learning how to react to things when they happen. So that's a big part of our world also. We now like to move to a late 18th century parlor. And by a parlor, I meant maybe a sitting room. Before people had TV, they sat around and looked at each other, which is sometimes more entertaining than TV nowadays. But one of the things that they liked to do was have some music in the background called chamber music. And we'd like to present our woodwind ensemble, which is directed by Steve Sullivan, another volunteer that comes to help us out. And they'd like to present two contrasting pieces. The first is an opera aria, a very famous opera aria. In fact, it's used on 2 commercials right now. You might recognize it. The next one is a piece by Bizet from Carmen. So we'd like to introduce our woodwind ensemble.
So we also have a very special guest with us this evening. It's my pleasure to introduce Miss Lisa Barron, who'll be singing our first selection with us, O Mio Babino Caro.
Now we move to our second large ensemble, which is actually a small ensemble, but it's intentionally that way. And again, the directions as to why the groups are a little bit different is in your program. But it's nice to have the opportunity. And one of the reasons we're very lucky enough to have both myself, Mr. Vogel here, and our number of students we have, is to make it so that each individual interest and ability level can be challenged. And the group you're going to see in just a second, which we entitle our wind ensemble, is legitimately one person per every part. Now, that's not because we couldn't afford better music. It's because that's the way it was intended to do and intended to be played. So there's a lot of responsibility on each person. Their music is a little different. I think you'll start to see that as they start to play, and their pieces will be introduced to you by their conductor. As it says in the program, a gallop has to do with those animals that if I talk about too much, I get a little hoarse. I know I've used it before, but it's there. Now, our next piece really highlights the abilities and the purpose of a wind ensemble. And in a program, it tells you that this piece was written as a recessional to Derek Bourgeois' wedding. And I think it's because he really didn't like his friends very much and wanted to give them a challenge while walking out. Now, I'm going to say something that perhaps a conductor shouldn't, but if you have ever seen a conductor jump up and down like a football coach on this stage, the way the students just played that, it didn't sound it, and I'm very happy because that's the way it's supposed to be. But that is an extremely, extremely difficult piece. If you can tell, the time is very uneven, and it's supposed to be because he was trying to trick his friends. But they've done an incredible job on a very, very difficult piece. This is a piece usually tackled by college or professional bands, so I want to give them one last hand. Our world tells stories, and this piece is the story of a river rafting trip. And it's a fun river rafting trip, but if you've ever been whitewater rafting, I go on the class ones where like you do this and you're excited over, hey Anthony, how you doing? I believe I know that little baby. I recognize that scream from 2 o'clock in the morning. This gets a little hairy at points, and you'll notice some interesting percussion effects that we use, bowing of the vibes and different things to simulate the water. You'll like it, Anthony, I swear. At my age, that's pretty impressive to run across the stage. Give us just a couple seconds, and we'll bring you to one of the last stops on a part of our world, but a part I'm sure you'll appreciate. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. A quick change as we can. One of the places we're going to take you now is another part of our world that we've really enjoyed and was the popular music of its day at one point. And we're going to take you to the Palladium, which I believe was in California, wasn't it? Or the Palace Hotel Ballroom, whichever one you remember more fondly if you were alive and remember those. And we're going to feature our Square One Jazz Band. And these bands toured the country much like rock bands do now. And they entertained audiences, and believe it or not, this was the music at that time that was supposed to destroy the world and be awful for young kids or whatever. But we hope you enjoy it. Imagine now we're in the Palace Hotel Ballroom or the Palladium on Lake. Anybody remember what lake that was? You're all that young. Good for you. Okay, we'll be back in 1 second with our Square One Jazz Band. To those of you in the front row, that's why these are the less expensive seats. Alex Chilowitz on the tenor saxophone. Gary Penn, David Ortiz, and Chris McHugh on the trumpet. Our percussion section, our rhythm section, and the rest of the Peter Gunn staff. Interesting bit of trivia, written by Henry Mancini, of course, but the original recording of this, the piano player, if you ever heard the original recording of this, the piano player was a very, very famous man on the original recording of this. Believe it or not, he's famous for his music scores now. John Williams, the composer, actually played piano on the original recording of this. We'd like to go back about 30 years and enter Count Basie. And Count Basie took over a band from a man named Benny Moten, and that's Moten Swing was actually Benny Moten's tune, but Count Basie adopted it to kind of let Benny Moten live on. And I said this at a concert a couple of weeks ago, but we weren't able to get Count Basie, unfortunately, because he's no longer alive. But we have a good substitute, and that's Count Staluppi. Dan Biggis on the trumpet. Bobby on piano, Alex Solich on tenor sax, and Dan Davis on the trumpet. Now, if I was to say to you, Heidi, 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 ho, what would you say to me? Hody, hody, oh, some of you know it, okay? We won't say it, we're gonna play it, but you're welcome to play along with it. And we would like to invite, again, Mr. Zampella, who helped us a lot this year with Jazz Band, came in, gave up a lot of his time to come and help us out. We'd like to invite him to conduct it, but I promise I'm not going to sing. Don't be disappointed about that. That's why I'm a band director, not a choir director. Mr. Zampella. Well, now on our trip, we've only got one more stop left and one more part of our world to introduce you to. This one, we've managed to try to do everything as quick as we could tonight, have stage changes ready for you. This one is impossible only because we're too big to fit on the stage the way it is. So if you'd give 10 minutes, feel free to stand up, and we promise to keep it to 10 minutes. Stand up, stretch, talk to people about what you liked, and we'll be back with perhaps the biggest gun of any band program and also one of the best storytellers. And we'll tell you about that, and that's our symphonic band. Give us 10 minutes, please. Thank you. Thank you for waiting. We present you now our symphonic band, which is about 120 of us all at the same time. And you'll notice the music we play is designed a lot more towards that. We start with a piece entitled The Earl of Oxford March, which is a Renaissance tune transcribed for a large concert band. We hope you enjoy. A band like this can make a lot of sound, obviously. Can do a lot of different things. And the next piece we have to present you is a slightly different turn on it, but you'll see the same quality in it. It's entitled Ye Banks and Braes of Bonnie Doon, conducted by Mr. Robert W. Vogel. And before we get to our last piece and end our journey, or our last piece with this group, we have a surprise for you at the end. But we end our journey of all of our world that we've taken to, all the different things. We appreciate your patience, your ability to clap for everything you've seen. We hope you've liked the different things you've seen. But unfortunately, there's a number of people who do come to an end of a certain part of their journey tonight, and that's their last concert with us as students. These are our seniors, and we're very proud of them. We will miss them greatly, and I'd just like to recognize them publicly. Chris Bensavenga. If you're not a percussionist, you can stand. Ben Berry. Hung-Woo Choi. Stand up, please. Thank you. Dave Chopka. Jason DeMarco. Jessica Dubnoff. Robin Eisenberg. You got your name, Jess? Ann Esser. Mike Galo. Joe Leskowitz. Sandra Matera. Megan McGinnis. Larissa Nemeth. Heather Obinger. Jeff Paone. Stephanie Peischel. Jared Penn, he's back here. Stephanie Shadell. Katie Schmidt. Kim Sikorsky. Jessica Strunk. John Keary, also back here. Jeff Vanderwende. And Linda Wozniak. And thanks to Mrs. I had that. Yes, I did. Didn't I say Kevin Zubek? Please back me up on this one. Kevin Zubek, thank you. See, Mrs. Coleman, you try to help me out, and it's still this trip that I've talked about is a family trip. You, us, everybody involved in this. To our seniors, thank you very much for everything you've given over the years. Please come back. Part of this will always be yours, and whatever you see this band doing for the years to come, part of it is yours. Our last piece is entitled Trail of Tears, and although you can read a lot about it in the program, the symphonic band is one of the best storytellers of the band world. And this is called a tone poem, or a symphonic tone poem, and that basically means it's a story portrayed through music. And I think you'll hear the different parts of the journey. If you're familiar with it, you can read it in the program. But at the end, you'll notice us speaking words, and those words mean the following. It says, "Let us mourn those who have died. Let us mourn those who are dying." And then the last one is, "Let us mourn those who must endure." And I think James Barnes does something in music, last part of our world, that can't be done in anything else, which is connect us to another time or convey emotions to us that we weren't actually a part of. This is Trail of Tears. Thank you so much. Okay, we have one last surprise for you, and it's you can turn the house lights up for this one. This is unofficial, but it's one of the things we love to do. And we had mentioned that our seniors and a lot of other people have helped us to build this program over the years into what it is now and hopefully what it will become. And some of the most important people that we miss greatly and love to see back are our alumni. So each year we end our spring festival, as it's becoming, with a piece entitled Semper Fidelis, John Philip Sousa, which you might know is the Marine Corps motto. It means always faithful. And we'd like to both dedicate that to our alumni and show them that we are that to them. Alumni that are here, please come up, grab a seat, and we'll be with you in 30 seconds. Or grab a stand, doesn't matter. Good to see you. They deserve a hand, folks. Thank you very much. Come on. Some of them are back from college. Some of them are back from prison. No, there's no one back from prison. Good to see you. I hope you understand what it's like for me to stand up and not only work with the students you're working with, but be honored that the students you have worked with think enough of what they did and what they got out of your program to come back. Occasionally I'll call an alumni this week and say, come and play with us. And they'll say, I haven't practiced all year. And I'm like, that never mattered when you were here. Why should it matter now? Grab your horn. I know it's harder to get in than when you were here. That's because you did such a good job. Where's that square? Thank you so much. Present, past, future in the back. Please join us for some refreshments. I know it's a late night, but of all the late nights we have, man, it's a fun one. Thank you for coming to our world. We hope you got something that you can take back to yours. Thank you very much.